Hey everyone, it's Zahara Stars with Illumistrology doing another transit video on this. In this series, I'm covering Jupiter's transits. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, primarily made up of helium, which explains why Jupiter has an expansion effect on wherever it is that Jupiter transits and whatever planets Jupiter touches. Jupiter is all about luck and fortune, falling into your lap, being presented to you, but really it's because you are feeling a lot more optimistic and positive in the area that Jupiter is transiting. So Jupiter's transits are typically 1 year between retrograde and direct motion. Of course, it depends on what size house you have that Jupiter is transiting, but typically Jupiter's transits are about a year. So what can you expect when Jupiter is transiting your second house? The main thing that everybody wants to know about, hey, it's money. What's going to happen with my money? Well, the second house is all about money. It's about things that we acquire. It's about things we buy and we acquire. It's also about our earned income, the money that we make. It's also about our values. What is it that we really value, but also our actual personal values. Now, the ninth house is about politics, about religion, about faith, about belief, about optimism, about travel, about international travel, about long distance, faraway places, about seeking, about learning through seeking, like going out and experiencing firsthand. So Jupiter is adventurous and it's positive energy. Whenever you see somebody that's always optimistic and positive, they're likely Jupiter enhanced or have a lot of Jupiter aspects in their chart. Jupiter brings that optimistic outlook that brings and attracts positive events to you. So although, we all wait for Jupiter transits, you don't necessarily have to. You can always go ahead and apply that positive, optimistic attitude because that's what Jupiter does by transit. So when Jupiter is transiting your second house of money, of the things that you acquire, it's the house of Taurus, which is about values, things that we value, but also about sensuality. It's ruled by Venus, about love, about romance, about things like that as well. But really what happens when Jupiter comes into your second house is that you become a lot more Jupiterian when it comes to these areas of your life. You become more confident. You become more optimistic when it comes to the money that you make, and therefore you attract more money to you. You become a lot more happy. You become happy. You become generous. Jupiter is also about generosity because with fortune comes generosity. When you have so much of something, you can typically be more generous about it. So you'll be more generous when it comes to money and you'll be attracting more money to you. A lot of people make great leaps in their business or in their jobs, or even through just people giving them things and acquiring things while Jupiter transits the second house. But you do have to watch out for Jupiter's over-optimism. And you have to apply some balance because a lot of people can actually get into debt because you have this free spirit about money and about what you have, and you just kind of go, I want to buy this and I want to buy that and I want to buy this and I want to buy that, and you have the money. Typically it shows up. But you do got to be careful because Jupiter's transit is only 1 year long. And if you got Saturn following him, you could be in trouble. But overall, Jupiter's transit through the second house brings about such optimism, positivity, fulfillment, abundance, all coming through the things that you own, the things that you purchase, the money that you make. And also, as far as your values are concerned, you're just a lot more generous, open, with other people. You can be, you don't have any fears surrounding finances or money. And this goes to show you that generosity, optimism, and a positive attitude can get you everywhere when it comes to the money that you make, to the things that you purchase. But you got to also apply a certain amount of common sense and say, well, this never ending well or this money tree is not going to last forever. So I got to start putting money away and saving money as well. But overall, this means that for a whole year, you're going to be working on building your finances, acquiring new things that are meaningful or important to you. It's a good time to make purchases. However, again, exercise caution because you are feeling like there's an endless amount of money during this time period. Now, it is a good time for you to start a new business. It's also a good time for you to ask for a raise. It's also a very good time for you to invest in, it's not necessarily the 8th house of investments, but I've seen a lot of people come across some fortune in investing in themselves, in their own businesses, in themselves, or in things that are tied to their business. I've seen them expand their wealth during this time period. But you really will be expanding your wealth. So this is a good time for you to really focus. If you're starting a new business, if you started a new job, to really put forward your best foot, because that will give you even bigger rewards than just the ones that Jupiter will make you lucky and fortunate about. But Jupiter does bring about big waves of money where you get, where people can just give you money. People are more generous with you during this time period, also through your business or through the company that you work for. And also acquiring things, like I said. But you do, as all the transits, when the planet goes retrograde, you get to reassess what you've been doing so far. And during that time period, things can slow down a little bit. Have you been too frivolous with your money? Have you been giving too much money out? Have you been too nonchalant with your money? And then you get a chance to reassess what you've been doing while Jupiter first brings in that initial expansion within your finances. I know that's one thing that everybody wants to know about, more so than their value system. But when it comes to their value system, it is truly about finding the value in being generous, is what Jupiter shows you. And also in having less fear surrounded around the money that you make. When Saturn's there, you feel like, because Saturn is about scarcity and restrictions and blockages. So you feel like, oh, I have to work really, really hard and I have to save all my money. And you tend to be, a lot more aware of where everything is going. With Jupiter, it's just like, you know what? I'll have more. I don't care. I'm more generous. I'm feeling fantastic, because you do feel very confident about your ability to make money, about how you are with money, about the investments, about the purchases, about everything. So you will be looking at an increase in all these areas, because Jupiter is very fortunate and about abundance and about giving you the abundance. But do be wise about how you handle this transit, because at the end of it, when it's over, you're gonna, as your optimism maybe kind of becomes really big while Jupiter is there, when it slows down after Jupiter leaves, you got to keep that positive attitude up, even though Jupiter is no longer there, in order to maintain that type of energetic flow of giving and receiving, because that's really what it's about with Jupiter. So I hope that you guys found this helpful. I am doing all the Jupiter series right now. I just did the first house, and now I'm on the second house, and now we're on to the third.